We'll call this meeting to order. Is there any citizen communication tonight?
No.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Are there any questions? Okay. Motion to approve minutes?
I motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Minutes approved. Okay, so that takes us to the director's report.
Okay, so we had a week off from programming last month because of TLA, but overall, our stats are really good. We're seeing them climb up in every category, so that's good. We had a lot of participation, and we have an item on here for everybody to talk a little bit about TLA, but we had a lot of participation from staff doing programming at TLA. And so I've listed all of that, but I've also listed all the committees that they're on and what position they hold on the committee if they're an officer. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how involved our staff is on the state level, and we are now moving towards more involvement on the national level. Farm Day was the first time that we've had Farm Day, and that was huge. It was at Heritage Park, and there were over 500 people. I think it was 521, Daniel? Yeah. There, and there were pigs, and I didn't get to squeeze them. I was doing Slice of Pflugerville, which was also awesome. I did get to see a chicken at Slice of Pflugerville, but I did not get to see a pig, but it was cute. And the repairs to the Heritage House Museum for this year are almost complete. If you go by and look at it, you'll see that it looks much more loved than it has in a while. The paint is not peeling. The porch has been repaired. We are waiting for the spindles that hold up the railing on the ADA ramp to be manufactured. So once, because we had to replace some of them. So once those have been done, those will be replaced also. And then we have some planned repairs for next year that are going to include things like rebuilding the chimneys. There's 2 chimneys on the house. There's no fireplace. Originally, it had been cast iron stoves, but the mortar has come out of the chimneys, so it needs to be rebuilt with, and it'll be rebuilt using the same materials, the same bricks, if possible. I mean, if the bricks are crumbling, we're going to have to find something that matches. But so that'll be happening next fiscal year. But right now, it looks really good. One of the things that they did was, if you go into the Heritage House, I don't know if y'all have been there, but there's the dining room and living room off to the left. And at some point, the pocket doors had been sealed into the wall. So those have now been brought out and refinished. So they look gorgeous and they work. And I love them. So if you haven't seen it, you should go by because things are changing. Do y'all have any questions about the director's report?
Did you do the taste testing in Slice of Pflugerville?
I did not. I was manning a table.
Well, the ceviche in the middle was outstanding. I went to the TLA conference as well. I got you some free books
Oh, awesome.
for the library. Apparently, graphic novels are huge.
They are.
At the TLA conference. I was looking for like storage solutions because I know we're running out of space. There weren't any innovative storage solutions,
Okay.
but I did.
Let me pause you right there because we have it on the agenda. So we're gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be next.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I just want to make sure, because we had a lecture about, not for this board, but another one that I'm on, about how I'm not sticking to the agenda. So.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. Next up would be our teen liaison report.
Thank you. Yes, so actually I checked in, and this is right before TLA, and we're reaching summer. We're in the very last weeks of school. And so our librarian was wondering if you could either get in contact or you could just give me a paper to essentially explain and get details on the on our public library's summer reading program.
Okay.
So we need details on the summer reading program so that Henderson High School can kind of
I will
take inspiration from that. Yeah.
I will have Melissa reach out to you And I'm sure she's got something planned for reaching out to the librarians too, but I'll have her get with you. She's our head of youth services.
It's great. Also, I was a part of TLA, but I'll wait.
Okay.
And the Friends of the Library report.
Where's her thing? Okay, so the Friends are having a book sale on Friday. It's their quarterly book sale. And this is one of the ways in which they raise money to support library programs. That's primarily what they support are our programs. So if you know somebody who's looking for books, tell them to come out. And then the book sale will remain up throughout the weekend, so people can come and just make a donation and take what they want. And then Dawn usually arranges for the leftover books to be taken to the prison, or the jail. Prison. Jail.
Oh, no. Travis County.
Okay, yeah, jail. So that's coming up, and that's all they have.
And next up is the proposed library-related bill movement.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this during the Library Association conference wrap-up also, but here are the bills. This is the latest movement on the bills as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. And as you can see, the ones that were the most concerning have not moved at all. So those are still, the last movement was in February. That doesn't mean they're not going to. Like, my fear is that at the very last moment, it'll all go through. But some of them are moving along. Those are the ones that primarily affect school libraries. I believe that the one regarding construction grants for the state library is moving along as well. The ones that affect higher education, tenure, et cetera, are moving forward, and the one regarding defunding public libraries if they have drag story times is also moving forward. However, having said that, Daniel pointed out that the wording of that particular legislation specifically says reading a book. So I don't think it's going to affect our Comic-Con in any way. So thank you for that, Daniel. And that's all I have on the legislation. Do y'all have any comments? There is going to be a hearing, I believe, on House Bill 900. It's on the legislative calendar. If you go online and look at it, it's coming up. I believe I got that alert today, but don't quote me on that because I could be wrong on the number. But I think it's House Bill 900, and that would be the one, it's on here. House Bill 900. I don't want to misstate what that one's about. Oh, okay. So, and then, yeah, okay, so this is the one that will affect distributors, like book distributors, in public schools. So this is the one that's basically, if a public school or public school library has a book that is considered obscene by whatever, then the school district can stop any school from buying that, from that particular vendor again. So that's what that one is. Great. So take a look at that online. The other,
Excuse me.
uh-huh.
If one book is bought, then from that particular vendor, then all books can never be bought from them?
Cannot be bought from that vendor for a particular period of time, and I don't know what that period
Okay.
of time is.
Okay.
I don't want to say what I
Yeah.
think it is because I'm probably wrong. Yeah. But if you go to the legislation online and read you can read the text of the bills. It's on
Okay.
The other thing that I gave you guys were dates of interest for the legislative calendar. So we are here with the deadline for unrestricted filing of bills and joint resolutions other than local bills, emergency appropriations, and emergency matters submitted by the governor, and that is today. And no, I'm sorry, that was March 10th. We're in May. I need a nap. Okay, so May 10th, deadline for the House to distribute its last House local and consent calendar with consent House bills. So that's where we're at right now, May 10th. And then I think the last legislative day is the 27th. I could be wrong on that. 29th is the last day, yeah, of May. So that's just for your convenience. Does anybody have any other comments or questions on the legislation? I have a little bit of news for you guys during the next item.
Okay, if there's no questions, then we can move on to the TLA conference wrap-up.
Okay, so TLA, as I stated, we have amazing staff, and they went and they participated, and they taught many, many sessions. So I'm super proud of them. I did not teach any sessions, but what I did was I attended a lot on intellectual freedom, and I picked the brains of people who are way more knowledgeable about it than I am, and I got some one-on-one sessions with some people. And I was elected, not with TLA, but with ALA. I've been elected the chair-elect for the Intellectual Freedom Roundtable, so that starts in July. So I'm amassing the army. But I did get to talk to them about it, and I gave them all of my concerns, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it because it would just take forever. But essentially, I am comfortable moving forward the way the library has and continuing to operate the way that we have in the past. And I feel very confident, even with the new legislation, that we are not doing anything that is outside the law or unconstitutional. So that would be my feeling on that. Jillian?
I did go to the TLA conference and spoke to a few vendors, lots of people that had lots of interesting things to say, but I felt were a little bit outside my purview on the board. Don't think we can buy lots of fun-looking couches, but like I have no say in that. But I did speak to a few people. The U.S. Customs and Immigration had some information on the table and just sort of things that they can do. They work a lot with libraries already. It's usually a good gateway into the communities. They have packets available that libraries and other community organizations can request to have information on hand should someone come in looking for that information. And if you have a large contingency of your population, then they can come in and even do presentations to the city about the information that they might be needed for that. So I thought that was interesting. I think, let me pull out my note. Oh, it got smushed. So I spoke to the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. They had done a study on access and knowledge of internet and computer usage across the state. So it was kind of twofold. The more comprehensive research they had done was kind of looking at what are communities, what are they asking for, and then what are the demographics of people asking for that assistance in their computer literacy and computer knowledge. But they had an interactive map that was more about just basic infrastructure and accessibility for access to high-speed internet. And just for giggles, when I was walking up and one of the ladies asked, well, where do you live? And I said, oh, in Pflugerville. And so she typed it in. And one of the other women there said, I live in Pflugerville, like, we're good. And they have it broken down into 3 different sections. So there was good, moderate, and poor. And when she pulled up the region for Pflugerville, it was about half was in good and half was moderate. And she was very surprised that that was the outcome for Pflugerville. And I said, honestly, really, that's not that surprising because of some of the things we run into at the library. And I started talking to her about issues we've had with, well, I guess not issues, but the things that we provide, our mobile hotspots, our laptops, how we've had Wi-Fi access to the parking lot, so it's free 24 hours to anyone in the city who needs it. We have people utilizing that, how we're monitoring the computer usage in the library and how we're determining they're not necessarily using our physical computers, they're moving more towards, they're coming here for access, they might be bringing their own equipment, they just need the internet here. being a little bit more mobile. And so she was telling me, she happened to be one of the grant advisors for the library and archive program, and said that they have a special programs grant that opens in the fall that typically they use for programs. A lot of like rural communities apply for it because they're the ones who have the larger accessibility needs. But she said, based on their own information that they themselves collected about the accessibility issues in Pflugerville, along with the data that we've been independently collecting just to kind of monitor the needs here, that it sounded like we would be a good candidate for that grant, and that they could do things like either fund a laptop cart if we thought that that was needed for in the library, or they've had people in the past have their grant outline the hotspots pieces in which we would have to buy the equipment up front, and then they pay for the usage. So they're like paying for the internet part, just depending on how the type of grant and what you're needing and what works best for you. But I thought that was like,
Was that Christine Peterson?
that sounds right.
Okay.
But I thought that would be something that we've already been following and talking about needing. So that's something that we can look into. That was my big takeaway.
Okay, great. Matt, I'm already looking at some of these books. Wait, I want to read this.
Are they good or bad? Or?
Yeah, well, this one's hugely popular, isn't it? Yeah.
They said that one.
Yeah, no,
Can we put them into circulation? That
Sure.
one had like a preview on it, so I didn't know.
We cannot if it's advanced
This
preview,
one right here.
but we can give it away in one of our programs. So it's just that if it's advanced preview, you can't put it in the collection.
And then this image, grabbed me because it was like a fly. I think it's a fly, but it's not a fly. Me and the lady read the entire book, page for page. She read it to me, which was more than I asked for, but I think she was interested too. And it is some kind of bee, and I thought it was a fly. I thought it was a fly trying to be a bee. So
Well,
anyway, she let me take it.
maybe. Now I want to read this one too.
Yeah, it's like.
I'll stop.
Does that say the Socratic method?
It does. A practitioner's handbook.
How interesting.
And then, so I was looking for storage solutions. I didn't find any good storage solutions out there. I talked to the furniture companies. They didn't have anything that we could like put above space because I was looking for something that hangs up higher because that's where we have like dead space. But they didn't have anything that isn't already out there. So the other thing I looked at was there was things of note was this counter, and I got the card at home. I don't remember who it was, but they do disability access books, like for sight impaired or something like that. And it's a free library, I guess, that you can just direct them to and access it, and they can go access those books online. So I didn't know if we had something like that, or
Was that Texas? What is it called? I can't think of the name of it.
You're
Was
not
that?
talking about Talking Book, are you?
Yeah, Talking Book.
I used to work for
Talking
them.
Book
I have
program.
no idea.
I'll look into
I'd
it.
have to look at the
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a huge old library, and so I was just wondering.
Okay.
The other thing was I tried to get us to be the donatee for next year's conference. Austin Public Library gets all the books at the end that don't give away.
Oh, that's good.
And so I put in a word in to try to get Pflugerville Public Library to get all the books that were donated. I'm not sure if that's going to be successful or not, but I tried. What was the other thing? Let's see. All right, you're going to have to skip me. I forgot it.
Okay. Well, I will come back around if you remember what it is. Thank you. And I'll look into it and find out what that program is.
Is it this one?
Oh,
Yeah, I think that is it.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are awesome people. I recorded a bunch of books to tape. I used to read Texas Monthly literally to tape when
They
I
are
was
often
there.
looking for readers,
Yeah.
people who will read the books.
The only
and
problem
allow
is it's
themselves to-
downtown. That's the only reason I stopped
Yeah.
doing it, is because I no longer live anywhere near there, going downtown, and you don't even get parking. So it's quite an ask.
Anybody else go?
I did.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed it. In fact, I rode the train down to the convention center,
Uh-huh.
and it went directly there. That was really nice. But the vendors there were just so many amazing vendors. And I really enjoyed looking at the different books and talking to some of the publishers. And I did see those couches. And I looked at, there were a couple of architects there. And, talking about building a new library. And one architect company was one that was involved in building the new Round Rock Library. And I know that someday we'll make it another library. And it was just interesting to look, to see the kind of things they put in the libraries. I remember when this building was built, and it was, it was wonderful. But these newer buildings even have a lot of really interesting additions that bring in even more people in the community. It was really, I enjoyed it, and I wondered, as you look at the bills that are coming up, what kind of an effect that's going to have on all of these vendors, all of these publishers. And
I think people are pretty aware. I think their radar is out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I attended, and I wasn't sure. I collected the brochures from the architects and from the furniture and from all the shelving. Did you already have all these brochures? Did somebody already collect
I
those
do
from
get
over?
them, yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So, sure, and thank you for the opportunity to go. It definitely shows that I'm on the right board, because it was like library everything, and it was really neat to catch that vibe of all the librarians coming together and seeing what's new and exciting.
Yeah, well, I went on Saturday, so things were just shutting down. I didn't get to see a lot of vendors, but I did see some of the closing lectures. We were able to see a lot of those. Super nice. So I'm mainly focused on emerging technologies, like ChatGPT was one of the things, and I code ChatGPT, and I code a lot of stuff, so it's pretty interesting to see how other people saw it, because they had a kind of this like cool view on it. I don't know. It was very interesting, but I watched a lot of that, lectures, and also I was able to ask the main guest of TLA, which I think was I wouldn't be able to tell you, but she's a really famous reporter, and I was able to ask her a couple questions in front of a panel.
Okay.
So it was nice.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, you remember, okay.
Well, so one thing, I went on Thursday, so you know how hard it was to get these books, because they don't give them away until Friday. So I had to do a lot of sweet talking. And so next year I know I need to go on Friday instead, because then they're just giving everything away. But they had a couple vendors that were trying to offer programs, which would work for us and stuff like that. And so one caught my eye because they had crochet there, and my daughter starts crocheting, and so I sat down and talked to them. And we did a little bit, but that made me think, why couldn't we just do that for us? Like, do we have videos for our classes? Like the Spice Club. Could we make like a curated 10-minute video on this spice?
We do have some online ones that are on demand. We also have Creative Bug, which is a crafting database, which is free, that if you have a library card that people can go in. As far as our librarians doing videos, they have done some. They do some of them ever since the pandemic when they started doing them. They have continued to do that for our guests that cannot get to the library. So far it's been mostly our older people, because our teens like to come here.
Yeah.
But we do have crafting, we have clubs for teens and tweens that do crochet and knitting and felting and all kinds of crazy stuff, and for adults also.
Yeah, I thought it would be a great idea to just have like how-to videos, because you can just keep them in perpetuity, forever. And update them every once in a while.
I'll see what all we have on offer and bring that back, and maybe we can do suggestions for others.
But yeah, I had a great time. Thank you for allowing us to go.
Sure, I'm glad you guys got the opportunity. Did anybody else go that didn't get to talk? No? No?
Okay, unless there's anything else, that was our last item on the agenda. And if nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
A second.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.